Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are here to watch me squirm over the worst movies of 2015. My fucking god, that was so bad! It's one of the worst times that I have ever had. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad! My fucking god, that was so bad! My fucking god, that was so lame! Compared to this, electrocution would be tame. Cause pain was sired, now I'm fired up and tired of this game! My fucking god, that was so lame! It's hard to believe, but I've seen over 109 movies this year. Because here at a Dyer-Situation, we care far more for quantity over quality. And so do many of the movies on this list. So let's just jump into it, shall we? Starting off with... It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad! My fucking god, that was so bad! Number 10. Fant 4-Stick. Probably one of the worst superhero films in years. Not even exaggerating, just... It was incredibly awful. And nobody likes it. And I don't like it either. Everyone was stale. The plot was incredibly confused and hard to follow and weird. To the point where I was almost kind of thinking that instead of Fox it was actually Sony. Like it was that level of confused and hard to follow. Apparently, according to the director, he blames it on the studio. I don't know anything about that. Just, this movie sucked. And that's all there is to it. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad! My fucking god, that was so bad! Number 9. The Transporter Refueled. What even was this movie? I mean, like, later I looked up The Transporter. It looks kinda cool. I can understand it getting sequels, but what is this movie? I still haven't watched the other movies in the franchise, and this certainly doesn't help. And I know I'm not alone, even fans of the original Transporter seem to be going, what the hell with this? And yeah, as a standalone movie especially, it makes no sense. Nobody's likable, and god, it's a pain to sit through. Not much more to say, it's just... yeah. Can't deal with it. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad! My fucking god, that was so bad! Number 8. Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Now listen. This isn't the worst comedy film on this list. This isn't even the worst Happy Madison film on this list, but... God. It was so unfunny that... I'm not even entirely sure it was meant to be a comedy. I'm starting to think it was some sort of experiment in psychological torture. I'm not even sure it actually had jokes, just moments of oddness that some crazy person might think is a joke. And... yeah. I like the first Paul Blart, I guess. I'm not sure it needed a sequel, or if it did, probably should have come out a little earlier. Like, this thing is was like 5 years after the original, way too late to put out a sequel. And, yeah, it just sucked. Nothing more to it. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad! My fucking god, that was so bad! Number 7. Southpaw. If Creed is the best that sports movies have to offer, then Southpaw is among the worst. Pretentious, bloated, glorified torture porn. This whole movie was just painful to watch, with terrible cinematography and just god-awful direction and writing. I mean, every single scene had a duplicate that happened immediately afterwards. I think I mentioned this, but literally he'd go in and he'd ask for a job. Like, it's every single sports movie cliche, except he'll do one particular cliche, like, get a job at a boxing ring so he can train himself and get back on his feet, right? Pretty damn cliche. He goes in there, he gets offered a job, he turns it, but in this movie he turns it down because he's too good for that. And then the next scene he accepts the job. So what was the point? And that's the whole movie. He goes there, he almost does a cliche, refuses to do said cliche. Next scene he does said cliche. And, God, just such a headache. Yeah. Can't recommend it to anybody. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad. My fucking God, that was so bad. Number 6. Gem and the Holograms. What was that movie? What even was that? I know I said that for The Transporter Refueled, but this especially. So you have an 80s cartoon show that's just kind of eccentric and 80s and stuff. So what do you do with it? You turn it into a... Well, first you turn it into a generic teen singer movie. Like, I don't know, the Hannah Montana movie or something. Like, that's what you first do. And then you decide, oh yeah, it has to be somehow relating to the cartoon, so let's include a robot. A robot wasn't in the cartoon, but there was a hologram that had the same name. So, it's so hard to determine. Like, yeah, I did look it up. Like, Synergy apparently was a actual hologram. Well, that makes more sense. It's actually about holograms. Cool. The show's about holograms. The movie, I don't even understand at all. I don't understand the thought process. I don't understand anything about it. Yeah. Can't say I recommend this to people who are fans of this show, because the show looks nothing like it either. Yeah. It's bad. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad. My fucking God, that was so bad. Number 5. Black Mass. Black Mass is something, alright. What a load of... Okay, if it isn't like Johnny Depp's horrible looking makeup and like and really silly costume, if it isn't the slow, boring story, if it isn't the obnoxious Boston accents that everyone's putting on, you know, that's the entire movie. There's actually nothing else to it. I've always said that the worst thing a movie can be is dull, and this is probably among those. Yeah. The Godfather, this ain't. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad. My fucking God, that was so bad. Number 4. Vacation. Vacation. Oh, why did I watch that? Is it even worth mentioning that it doesn't live up to National Lampoon's Vacation? The National Lampoon's Vacation's own sequels don't live up to National Lampoon's Vacation. I suppose it should be expected. This is just yet another in a long series of movies that don't live up to the 2 good ones. Like Vacation and Christmas Vacation. The only 2 good ones in a series, I think, that has like 6 now. Yeah. Some of the worst comedy moments I've ever seen outside of Happy Madison production, and yeah, I'm not even gonna benefit it with more talking. It's just terrible. It didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope and now I'm mad. My fucking God, that was so bad. Number 3. We Are Your Friends. Hey kids, you know what sounds like the best idea for a movie ever? A film about DJs from San Bernardino, the Valley. yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone's already asleep just hearing that pitch. How did this get made? Nope. The whole premise is lackluster, and everyone outside of the main character, is just lipid. And yeah, this is devoid of character and anything. I mean, it has some nice qualities to it, I guess. Like, there's every now and then there's like a snippet of some sort of interesting style to it, and then it was quickly gone. And that almost makes it worse because it looks almost like it had potential, but it's a difficult premise to pull off, and they got like the lamest person to try and do it, so of course it's just terrible. And yeah, it didn't rope and I was hoping was a dope, and now I'm mad. My fucking god, that was so bad. Number 2, Pixels. Yeah, you knew this was coming. This movie almost broke me, for crying out loud. But yeah, I don't even think there's much more to say about it. Everybody and their grandmother is up in arms about it. And yeah, pretty much everything I've seen is true. It's got terrible joke making. It's a shitty homage to 1980s gaming, and yeah, it's just terrible. Admittedly, not the worst thing I've seen out of Happy Madison, but probably the worst one this year, which is an accomplishment. So, good for it. Pixels. Yeah. And so now, just like last time, before I get to number 1, we're gonna get to some honorable mentions. Pan! Okay, I felt I should mention it because it is pretty low on my list, but I just thought I had to point it out because it's the highest. It's the highest of the bad movies I've seen, or one of the highest, and it's only because I'm pretty sure the people making it just went insane and decided that they just wanted to do whatever they felt like, and it kind of saved it. Instead of being just some random live-action Disney movie, which is made by Warner Brothers this time, it was actually somewhat entertaining, if only because of how insane it was. So yeah, felt it needed at least some recognition for that. Sicario! Yeah. Yeah, so it's incredibly pretentious. Has some nice shots in there, that kept it off the list, but yeah, pretty painful to sit through. No real entertainment value, and no real educational value, no real value. Just painful. Hitman Agent 47. This movie has the distinction of being the worst of all the spy movies that came out this year, and there's a lot of spy movies. So yeah, just give it a round of applause for that. Terminator Genius. It misspells its own name. What more do I have to say? The Good Dinosaur. You know, I swear to God, I am going to go on some sort of epic rant of some sort. Now let me explain. Inside Out, of the movies that came out this year, it definitely deserves to win Best Animated Picture in the Oscars. And it deserves to. I have no objections to it. It's going to, and it deserves to. That's great. But I swear to God, if The Good Dinosaur is even nominated, I'm gonna be up in arms. It's the worst Pixar film in years. And undebatably, in my opinion. With incredibly cliched, kind of lazy-ish design for a Pixar film, and just confusing decisions. Yeah. Not exactly Pixar's best foot forward. No escape! No escape! Unfriended. Now bear in mind this isn't the lowest ranking Blumhouse picture that came out this year. That honor goes to Sinister 2. But it just needed recognition simply because of how insane that premise is and that they thought it could work. It's a Skype ghost. I joke to my friends on the internet, like, when we're online gaming and stuff all the time, whenever something glitches up, it's the Skype ghost! It's silly. Nobody's scared of that. And outside of the movie, people just laugh at the idea, so yeah, it needs recognition, if only for that. Tomorrowland. Now, bear in mind, it wasn't incredibly, totally god-awful, and that's what kept it off of the top 10 list, but it was heinous and probably could have used about 9 or 10 rewrites and maybe somebody rethinking this whole concept. Yeah, it felt, in my opinion, it felt like an entire mini-series of some sort that somebody tried to fit into a 2-hour movie. And it comes across that way. It's incredibly confused and really, really awful. But not really awful. You know what, I'm contradicting myself. Let's just get on with it. And the #1 worst movie of 2015 is Magic Mike XXL. As I said, this movie has the distinction of being the very first film ever that I have ever reviewed, which has gotten the prestigious 1 out of 10. For the very fact that it was so bad that I actually fell asleep in the theaters. That was a milestone. It's never happened to me before. I was perfectly awake when I got in, and when I was in there, I fell asleep 20 continuous minutes at a time of nothing but stripping for 20 goddamn minutes. I guess the whole theory behind this film was that, well, we had the first movie and a lot of people liked it because it had male stripping in it. But so let's just fill that with this movie with nothing but that. Even though the first movie, I'm pretty sure the appeal was also the, well, written characters and and decent plot and interesting backstories, which are thrown out the window in this for nothing but boring conversations and extended stripping sequences. This is honestly the worst, one of the worst sequels I've ever seen, and yeah, utterly deserving of that spot. Easily one of the worst films I have ever seen on this show. And I've seen a lot of movies. Easily one of the worst. So, yeah. So now, stay tuned for my prediction for worst film of next year. In case you're wondering what happened with the worst films, with the best and worst films I predicted last time, well, both of them got into the honorable mentions for the bad films. So, yay? I honestly, I feel kind of bad sometimes choosing a best for next year because it almost always guarantees it's going to be on the lower side of the list. But you know what? I'm probably just being paranoid about that. But yeah, stick around and come back tomorrow for one final list. And until next time, for the rest of the year, I am Glenn Dyer, and you are watching A Dire Situation.